The next Lee and Ian podcast is approaching the station. Please step aside.
And welcome to the Lee and Ian Show. I'm Lee Navlin. The Lee and Ian Show is sponsored by Guttormsson Law and Mediation. Remember, when it comes to divorce, family first. Mediation is the way to go. Guttormsson Law and Mediation. And if you want to check out my latest, it's LeeNavlinBooks.com. When I'm not recording a podcast, I'm writing books. That's LeeNavlinBooks.com. Now, my apologies to those who were so anxious to hear what Ian Guttormsson had to say next. Unfortunately, he is out of town. Apparently, when it comes to Ian Guttormsson, making a living is more important than this podcast. But I do know how sorry he is to miss the show today because we have some brilliant guests. We have some brilliant artists with us. Jeremy Moss is with us, too, by the way.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The one and only Jeremy Moss. Jeremy, would you like to introduce our guests?
I would love to introduce a guest. We have the wonderful Rob Weiss sitting next to me, and across from me is the wonderful Jake Guttormsson.
Hello.
Guys, thank you for coming in. Now, Jeremy Moss is a curator, and he is an artist himself. Now, everyone in SOMA, I believe, knows who you are, Jeremy. You're a local legend. That's why I wanted to bring Jeremy in, because I know so little about art. Jeremy knows everything about art, and you're curating a show at SOPAC with these two gentlemen. Talk a little bit about that.
First of all, I'm blushing. Secondly, I'm on the SOMA Studio Tour Committee, and it gives me the great privilege to be able to do the Unveiled show each year as a precursor to the studio tour. So I get to see these guys work all the time, and I just was like in love with the idea of doing a show with Jake and Rob.
Now, Jake and Rob, you got it's at SOPAC. It's the current exhibit. It's as we speak. It's up, and I believe on Thursday was you had the unveiling, so to speak. I was there. I can't believe what I was looking at. Paper mache. I mean, this is, look, I'm not saying you should go out and smoke weed before you go to see artwork, but man, oh man, if there was a joint to smoke in a parking lot
it helps.
and a show to see, this was it. Guys,
Definitely enhances it.
Yeah, I'm gonna post your work so when they see the podcast, they'll be able to see some of the work that we're talking about. But Jake, You're the paper mache guy, right? Now, that's for a guy who knows so little about art, I'm looking at what you're doing. I'm like, how is this possible? You create worlds that don't seem to exist, but they exist in your world, and it's outer space, it's monsters. You tell me what I'm looking at. You tell me what I'm looking at.
Yeah, so it's I don't even know where to start. So it's something that I've always kind of pursued, like, and been attracted to is like just monsters and creatures and other worlds. I was really into Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid, science fiction, all this stuff. So, I went to art school. I became an artist. I went through and I was an animator for 15 years. Since then, I've been working in project management in marketing, but I've always continued doing art throughout my life, and really kind of after I kind of quit becoming an animator, I kind of refocused on the visual arts on the side, and really kind of focused in on that, because it was kind of a place where I could be fully creative and not have to answer to clients and things like that. So
yeah,
so then I really kind of delved back into it, and I really, all these themes from my childhood started coming back and flooding back, and it really started permeating in the work. And then around 2016, 2018, I did a project with my kids. They wanted to make a paper mache pug for my mother-in-law's birthday. We had pugs in our family, and the kids were really into them.
Yeah.
So we made this, and I just didn't stop. After we gave Grandma her gift, I was like, this was really fun. Paper mache was something I'd never really done since I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And I
Okay.
really kind of delved into it and started doing more work. And when I was in college, like, sculpture was like, if you can't make it, everything was made out of like giant welded pieces of metal and like things like that. And I was like, what? And I would make these weird little sculptures, and they're like, oh, it's very painterly. And, it just was not it just was not a welcoming world. And so I got back into it when I was an adult, and it was just so cool. And it really kind of triggered something. And around that same time, I was kind of like, what if everything I've ever created lived in the same world? Like, from when I was a kid up to when I was to now. Like, what if all this stuff existed in another dimension? Every time I created it, like, it just kind of kept populating that world and kept growing. And I kind of approached my art that way. And then I was like, oh, well, would you what would the culture look like of these people and these creatures and things. And as I did that, the art just got more and more complex. And if I didn't sell something at a sale or show, I would just keep working on it. Or I'd get bored of something and I could make this better, and I'd cut it up and redo it. And so the world just kept expanding and evolving.
Because that's exactly what I'm looking at. If you go to your website, jakeguttormsson.com.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
it's so out of date.
It's out of date. But I'll tell you this. But these interesting names: Yoda, lizard, monkey, you know, chimera, you know, bone, goblin. Who's coming up with these names?
Oh, me. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I'm just kind of like, what are these strange creatures, and what are they about, and who are they? You know, who are they? And a lot of these are just. I could start with like the bottom of an egg carton, or like a weird box, and I realize if I push the lid out, it makes a little smile, and then I'll create a creature around that. Like, so a lot of it's just like I get inspired by a weird little piece of garbage, and I started developing that into a piece of paper mache. So a lot of times, most of the stuff is cardboard, chopsticks, wire, just things left over, or just things discarded. I just kind of collect things that look interesting, and I just build things out of it.
It's wonderful. Now, Rob Weiss, you're a contemporary artist. Maybe more of a traditional artist, and your work is there too. Your work is brilliant. It's the colors, Jeremy, help me out with some art. I sound like I know what I'm talking about, because the colors, the brilliance of it all, mind-blowing stuff.
So I came up with this unofficial title for this show on Thursday night at the opening. People kept saying, "So what do you call this?" And I just said, "Fantastical, dark, sly whimsy."
Okay.
And Rob definitely falls into that sort of sly whimsy. He has this ability to sort of make you question things, and then I'm going to leave the rest to you to describe.
Well, I think we're both contemporary artists, but I think I'm more 2D a little bit. My stuff was hanging on the walls, so there's a lot of wall space to cover. So it was kind of a frantic 3 months trying to come up with new stuff.
Could you hear the whip?
Yeah. The self-imposed auto-flagellation.
Exactly. So on your Instagram, Rob Weiss Art, right?
Yes.
And again, you know, I love the name, Cock of the Walk, Slow Boil, the Road Hog. So again, it's a world, you know, Jake, it's a world of make-believe a little bit. You know, your images are, you know, they're fascinating. They're angry. But they're hilarious, and they're fun. You know, so I guess, is it the mood that you're in when you decide on what you're going to paint?
It's make believe. You make it. You believe in it.
Yeah.
I mean, all art is make believe.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like the icing on the cake of being alive.
Yeah. Because when I write, I'm a writer. You know, sometimes I'll write a novel, and I want it to be funny because and I'll come up. I had a good day, you know, and then it's funnier. But then sometimes I get a little darker, you know, because I had a bad day. So I guess maybe that's the same thing with what you guys are doing.
100%. Yeah. I mean, as you're creating something, you're at least I am. It's just kind of like a constant conversation with yourself. Like, what does this mean? And as you add new things, it kind of develops. So, like you're saying, it might start from a mood. Yep. And then become more cerebral, or vice versa. The pieces you were mentioning are from a series, and I like to work in series because it's kind of, I feel like it just groups your work and allows you to be almost a different artist. Like, this is my personality for this set amount of time.
Yes.
And then you can end it, and you can jump to a new artistic personality with a different series. But this one is called Beast Mode.
Okay.
And it was a new process that I came up with. Traditionally, when I was in art school, I was focusing on drawing, you know, above everything else. And this was a new process where I'm drawing with a Dremel tool. So it's almost like etching.
Right.
It's a reductive process. You just paint the wood black, and then you take a Dremel and you remove the paint, and you're carving into the wood. But the Beast Mode was, it's got a humorous side, but it's got, I think, layered meaning.
Okay.
I think of the animals as related to the novel Animal Farm,
Okay.
and it's like kind of maybe the descendants of those characters. They've kind of left the farm and they're kind of
Oh,
become
okay.
these. Some of them have become, capitalism, and
Yep.
personified, or
Okay.
Cock of the Walk. He's kind of like dressed like a robber baron. He's got the arrogant swagger
Yeah.
of, a CEO.
Guys, this is some really cool stuff. Again, you can check out the Rob Weiss art on Instagram, and I mean, but then again, you got some political statements here. You make Gotham great again. It's the Joker. It's Trump. It's
I didn't know how true that was going to play out in 2016 but
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so that was before he won the
Yeah.
So you were on to something like, here we go, the Joker.
here we go.
May take
Strap
off.
in.
Yeah. Now, Jeremy, I know when you curate a show, you're very specific about the artists that you choose. How did you come across these guys? What blew you away about their artwork? Because you don't put your name to just anything. I know that.
I think they're both very different artists in the sense of they're not painting flowers. It's not literal stuff. I just love the depth of, like I said, sly whimsy is definitely a thing that I would sort of keep going back to because there's so much in their works. And I just want to quickly point out that Jake has 3 2D pieces on the wall as well, just in case people miss that.
Yeah.
And there's a perfect marriage in the lobby where you can see where these 2 worlds meet with the aliens, which I love. And I think basically it's just I wanted to sort of present something different, something that would make people think outside the box, because these 2 guys do. And I think we've pulled it off, and some. And also there's part of me as an artist where I make models occasionally and I paint political statements occasionally. So also subconsciously that was in the back of my mind as well, that, gosh, I want to be both these guys and do it all. So that's pretty much where it comes from.
Now, the current exhibit is going to be up starting November 13th. It'll be to January 18th. So everyone's got a little bit of time to go see it. It's for those unfamiliar with SOPAC, it's the South Orange Performance Arts Center. It's on the 2nd floor.
2nd and 3rd floor. Well, actually, all 3 floors now because we have a wall in the lobby, and it's actually the Herb and Millie Iris Gallery at SOPAC. So I'm thrilled that we've got the lobby wall now. So when you walk in, you get an introduction to the gallery on the ground floor. Mm-hmm. And then there's the next floor, and then the main body of work is on the 3rd floor.
And when the theater's open, it's available to peruse.
When the building's open, which I think Tuesday through Friday, it's open from at least 10 till 6.
Okay.
And at the weekends, if there's a church in there on the Sunday, so the building's open on Sunday mornings. Saturdays, it might be, it all depends. But good news, the cinema is coming back at SOPAC. So they've got a new tenant coming in, so then the building will be open even more.
Okay.
And that should be hopefully sometime, I don't know, soon.
So what's wonderful about this is no tickets are necessary right now. It's no reservations are necessary.
As New Jersey Hipsterbia said, it's the best free exhibit in New Jersey at this moment in time.
And again, guys, it's going to blow you away. Now, Jake, you talked about you got into paper mache a few years ago when you were toying around with your children. But did you go to school for arts? And how did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's.
Yeah. So way back in 1992, I went to. I grew up in Minnesota, and I went to the Minneapolis College of Art and Design. Which was a really amazing experience. Kind of just delving into just a whole nother world of art and getting access to new materials and new resources. Things like being able to like try out welding and get access to a wood shop and a print shop where you can do relief printing and etch copper and do copper printing, intaglio printing. And it was just amazing to me to like just be able to learn all these new things. And and it's for somebody that I've always been attracted to like collage and mixed media, and so it kind of just gave me an opportunity to like learn a bunch of different stuff and pull it all together. And I had been a theater kid too and stuff like that, and punk rock bands in high school, so I was always like a very DIY person.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of gave me this huge freedom to just kind of like run around and just play with stuff. And, I would, I might not have a sculpture class, but somehow I'd work my way in and get access to the shop, or, I might take like casting the first semester and then keep my studio all year long and things like that. So I would just like find ways to game the system and just get a little bit more out of it. So,
and Rob, that was the same thing, right? You went to school, right? Specifically,
Yep.
but then you had a little bit of a interesting career. I know you worked at Rolling Stone. You do some video work as well. The life of an artist, I guess. Tell me the life of an artist.
Yeah, that's right. It kind of mirrors Jake quite a bit. Like, I went to Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh for art, 91 to 95, and like Jake, just tried to get my hands in everything. Focused mainly on drawing and digital media, but did a lot of sculpture, foundry work, and welding and woodworking, and just tried to do as much as I can there. And then afterwards, After Effects and scanning photos, digital media, that whole world blew up. So just kind of chased that through to New York. Moved to New York in 2000 and
Okay.
worked at a lot of different places, from Rolling Stone to WebMD, and then, in recent years have putting more of the focus back on painting,
Back on
and
the painting
illustration
and
and
love.
just making raw art.
So, what?
yeah, I had a very almost mirrored. I came here in
Yeah.
'99.
Yeah.
I founded like an animation company with some friends in like 2001, and like we did music videos and show opens, and
All right.
I did like all kinds of animation work as well. So like it's really weird that like we have all these commonalities.
Well, here's the thing about this that I love, because I'm exactly in this same pool, is that I call us all smorgasbord artists, because we try different things, and it also gives you the ability to actually, if you're pushing on one and hit a roadblock, you've always got something else to go to, because then you get back to your original thing with fresh eyes. And I think that keeps you moving forward, and it makes you very adaptable, flexible.
Yeah, it's this weird it's something weird, like this weird Gen X creative arc, and it all tracks to like the .com boom and busts in the late '90s, and like it just like it's so funny. Like so many people have like similar, and especially in Maplewood too. Like everybody, when I first moved here, everybody was in like marketing, animation, like some news. Like there was just like everybody kind of was in the same world in Maplewood when I moved here, and it was just so. It was so cool to kind of be in this environment, but be in a suburban area instead of like in the city. You're like, oh wait, you can do this other places too. Like it's not just New York City.
That's actually a good question for you. So so you're both living in the city. You're both artists. You're both very creative. How do you find SOMA? How do you end up out here? Was it chasing? Oh, that's a community that we were familiar with. A community we would do well to live in, or was it just by chance?
How did you find it?
Well, I mean, a lot of people find their way from Brooklyn to Maplewood.
Yep.
Holding a 1-year-old baby.
The Brooklyn West, the Brooklyn West train, so to speak.
Yeah. So I didn't know anything about Jersey really, but had heard good things about Maplewood.
Yeah.
And so when we came during the house hunting process, kind of really liked what we saw.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I first got about 20 years ago. There was an artist community, I guess, and the studio tours and Jeremy. That's where we met. Actually, you were pretty much running the show a little bit. I don't want to with these remember the house tours. What they used these old when we would go and look at all the art in everyone's house. They still have that, I know, but. I think I was at I did the first one the first year, and that's why I saw you.
That's when I met you. I wasn't actually running anything then.
But you seem like you were in charge.
but I had come from a background of doing juried art shows throughout the Northeast. So when I happened upon the studio tour, it was a case of, I just got my booth set up in the driveway. Anybody else want to join me? So I'd always get a coterie of artists together. and do it like that. But with regard to moving here, I did the Brooklyn to Maplewood thing. It was just, but here's the thing for me.
You were the first guy, though. You were the first one.
He's the pioneer.
Pioneer, totally. So when I came here, though, I was just struck about how European downtown Maplewood felt. Because it was very much a walking thing.
Yeah.
And I really wanted not to sort of rely on the car the whole time.
Yeah.
So that was very important to me. I had no idea it was so artistic. I think I met maybe 20 graphic designers in the first 3 months in Maplewood. And then after that, it was 20 photographers.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah. So short, funny story. So my wife actually met you at a swim class when the kids were infants. I don't know if you remember that. And
your lovely wife was probably one of the first people I spoke to in Maplewood.
Yeah, and she said she hit it off with Jeremy right away because a lot of the parents were in the pool. They're worried, they're concerned. The pool's too cold. It's the baby's going to catch a cold. And then with two parents, and it just really
we just threw our kids into the pool.
Pretty much, the deep end of the pool, so to speak. Yeah, so she hit it off with Jeremy right away. She's like, I'm like, did you meet anybody? She's like, I met one cold dude. One father, and that's a true story. And here we are, 25 years later. yeah, definitely been a long time. But so Jeremy, so from there, you've watched this community build. Artists come here, and it's grown, and could you have imagined what it would be like years later that you would have such a booming community here? I mean, it's got to be a little bit of a.
It is incredible. And I think once you get a certain amount of artists in one place, they talk to other people who talk to other people, and then people want to start coming here. I think that's how that happens.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it was just happenstance that sort of some people came here. I think obviously Midtown Direct made a big difference to people having access to Maplewood, New York. But yes, gosh, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So much so that we've had to cut off the studio tour, for instance, at 100 people. I mean, which is a crazy amount of people. And it just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading. And also you can see as you walk around, the murals popping up. You've got sculpture popping up. It's just going to continue growing. And we get new waves of people with new ideas, which is always fabulous. And I don't see it stopping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, you guys have kids in the school system right now?
I used to. I've got 2 high school students, but now they're out of district.
Okay, they're out of district. And what are your thoughts now? There have been, with the arts programs, cutbacks in the arts programs at the schools. I mean, this has got to really piss you off, for lack of a better. I mean, when you see that because
it's a lot of reasons why we left the district. It's not the only problem in the district for sure, but I think. I think a lot of districts around the country kind of got in this situation in the 80s. They did a lot of bad negotiating with teachers and gave them better, we won't give you raises now, but we'll give you this great pension. And then we're like, 30 years later, we're supporting pensions and things like that. Or
right.
I know here we have a lot of lawsuit issues that have like a lot of our, some of the budget of the school board is actually going to pay off like civil rights lawsuits and things like that. So I know, and like, I think something like over 50% of our property taxes are used on, either go straight to the education system. And the township. So it's definitely tricky, and I know there's a lot of like things tapping at the system that just decreases the budget across the board, and it just makes things harder. And I think also too, just with the I'm sure the busing's a strain on that, and there's there's no real way around the busing. So like it just things are going to get cut, and it's just annoying that it's going to be things like art, because I just think that's kind of the core. It should be thought of as like the core. It's visual communication. Right. And if you understand visual communication, there's so many different ways to present information to people, and to not integrate that fully in school just seems like a really big waste. It's just going to create people that just are limited in how they can communicate with other people, and it's sad.
Yeah, because I know I grew up in Livingston. You might know him. He's Hugh Mahan. He was a retired art teacher up in Livingston. He's always at events down here, and it's always nice to see a teacher. I knew he was a hippie back in the 80s. Long hair now, he's an older guy, and now he's a pal, as opposed to a teacher. But he was the first guy to tell me, "You're never going to be an artist, Lee. This is not for you." But was there an art teacher, both you guys, that kind of opened the doors up to you, and you said, "Wow, this I'm digging. This is a special thing that I'm really this is my future."
I think I was just into art. I look at my son. You're asking about, arts funding, but whatever the funding is, Charlie's just locked into art.
Yeah.
So he's got like 2 or 3 drawings in his hand at all times.
How old's Charlie?
He's 8. He's at Tuscan.
Wow. So he sees what you're doing, and he's that got him going.
Yeah. But in college, I mean, definitely, I had mentors and teachers that have stuck with me. Like I had an independent study with a man named Herb Olds, and he's just like a master draftsman, and just teachers like that along the way have really.
Jeremy, wait, what about Jeremy? I know photography is a part of your expertise amongst the things you do, and I always found you to be an interesting guy in the way you approached art. Tell me about how you got started in the.
Well, I'm going to go
love.
for the teacher thing first of all. Was the guy at high school called Jeff Beasley, who looked like John Lennon. So he was a cool guy already.
He caught your attention.
Oh yeah, and he was just so laid back, and he just strolled in and went, "What should we do today, kids?" And it's like, whoa,
right.
Which is really cool. Yes, photography is my first love. I came to the States. And I was working for a magazine group in the UK, photographing the fashion shows in New York, which was always interesting.
Okay.
Photographing Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell et al. It was never boring.
Easy stuff to shoot. Right?
And then to actually to Jake's, Icelandic name, correct? Yeah. So it's a tenuous link, but I can remember the day that Dolph Lundgren kicked me in the back of the head because he was sitting behind me and I was down in the trenches, and he kicked me in the head and then wanted to say sorry to me. And he took my hand and then stood up, and I looked like a rag doll being shaken by this 6'7" guy. It was frightening. But so photography. But then I used to do the juried art shows in the Northeast, like I said before. And then, it's a case of 2008 happened and nobody was buying anything at juried art shows. And again, you have to reinvent yourself. And I started to use my sort of, graphic design background as well and started incorporating that into art. Doing that, but then someone came along to me and said, "Oh, you used to do juried art shows." And this leads me into the curation part, where can you do an art show? So I was actually one of the founders of the Maplewood Art Walk.
Okay.
And then it led there where people started asking me to be a judge, and then sort of, can you help, give me your eye for hanging the show? And then all of a sudden I'm a curator, so it's interesting.
Right. Yeah. Kind of how, I know Kat, who was my old neighbor, she's a brilliant artist as well. Was it through the art walk that you guys met? I'm actually asking you on air. I probably should just be asking you this, anyway, after the show.
Anyway,
she's such a cool person. I just kind of curious.
On a personal front, I met Kat. She worked with me at Valley Arts, which is a non-profit in Orange that I ran.
That's right.
And we had a great gallery there and did great shows and did great events. And she was my communications director. And like you said, an incredibly talented artist in her own right.
Yeah, 100%. And a really cool neighbor. We had a bunch of neighbors there, obviously, and she was my favorite. So you can tell her I said that because she probably won't listen to the podcast. You'll be like, "Hey, you can listen to a cat?" She'll be like, "Nah, I don't want to listen to it." No interest. But so Rob, I know your wife too. We actually worked together in the city at Fox News. You want to kind of explain how she ended up there? Because I'm constantly explaining to people how I needed a job and it really wasn't my fault, and I apologize. But Allison was actually one of the cool people I met there. There weren't that many of them, so you would remember.
Yeah, she was a communications major at JMU, at James Madison University, and she went on to work in the radio. She covered, was it Fukushima? She covered the DC snipers.
Yep.
She left radio, got into news. She's always ready to say Fox Business to separate herself from.
Right, that's right. Yes. Fox Business Channel.
Right. At least there's that.
Yes.
But and when we met, she had just started at Bloomberg. So.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I was actually I was at Fox when they the DC sniper stuff, and I was there that night when they caught them, and I remember they the name Lee Malvo was one of the suspects they caught, and Lee Navlin being my name. And, so I wrote one of the anchors I had to write because I wrote copy for the anchors. I had to kind of Right. And so I was like, make sure you say Malvo, you're not Navlin. You
underscored it.
Yeah, I was underscored. Yeah, because anyway, but that's a
I
true
almost
story.
said you dodged a bullet there.
So I dodged, that's right. No pun intended. So the show is called Lost and Found and Lost Again, which, by the way, when you see the exhibit at SOPAC, you'll understand why it's called Lost and Found and Lost Again. Jeremy, did you come up with that?
No, I actually gave the privilege to these two lovely people. However, I did have a veto in my back pocket.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you could actually. So is that how it works? So they say we've named the exhibit. It's going to be called, Franklin, and you're like, no, it's not. You know?
It would have been, gentlemen. We're not going there.
Yeah.
So did you guys meet because your artwork was not similar, but the outer space and
Tell the story.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we met at Studio Tour, and they just threw us together in the community center on Burnett. And I mean, I'm sure somebody looked at. There was like 10 artists there, so I'm sure they were looking at like who complements each other, things like that.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it was kind of a cool setup. I'm so terrible at names, but there was like somebody that did like cards. Like she had hundreds of handmade cards, like these gift cards that were just amazing, and there were other painters there. And I don't know, I was just automatic. Like we almost immediately started talking about each other's work and like asking each other questions. And he had done all these Halloween signs that he'd put on his front porch, and I like fell in love with this bat that he had done, and we traded. I did a Minotaur, and we traded pieces at the end of the weekend. And we tried to be friends as much as two guys who are artists with kids can be.
Right.
Like I don't have any free time to like socialize, but we'd hang out and
But you saw
chat
someone who
and
was
stuff like that.
he got you
Exactly.
and you got him. And,
Oh yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
right
Yeah.
away. And then the funny thing was, we were just walking Jake's dog, taking a hike in the woods. We were like, we should have a show together. Let's look at what is it, the 1978 gallery?
Yep.
Yeah, we were
Let's look at that. And then the following studio tour, without speaking with Jeremy, he approached the two of us to do a show.
Yep.
Which, like, am I in a simulation? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I threw it out there
But
and
that
it's
happened.
happening.
So
Yeah.
it's, drinking the moon water, manifesting. I don't know what.
Things just come together, right? Every once in a while,
Yeah.
you come up with an idea in your head. Like, sometimes I'll do this. Like I'll think of something, and then kind of Facebook all of a sudden or advertises it. You know what I mean? Like, what? I didn't even say that out loud.
Exactly.
But
You're saying Jeremy's mining our.
that's what I think. So yes, well,
Totally.
Yeah. And I think
he's bugging the homes in the area. That's right. Coming up right with his next big plot. Yeah.
And I think the name it was the only. I think it was the only real name that we ever threw out there. I think it was
Yeah.
like. Everything else was like a joke, like how we were feeling like that day. Like,
okay.
why do I keep doing this to myself or something like that?
Right.
Like that could be the title. But like Lost and Found, Lost Again, it was just like, I don't know. For me, it was just like you have like, especially when I'm working in art, like you'll have these little epiphanies about things and you'll forget them.
Yeah.
And you'll remember again and you'll forget them. And it just totally just felt like it fit with this whole process. Like I'm constantly like writing things and then forgetting I wrote them, and then
Yeah.
I'll find them again. I'll be like, "What?" And then it'll inspire me to like do something. Like I have a whole YA novel that I wrote and forgot, like a quarter of a YA novel that I forgot about that I
Yeah.
wrote and I completely forgot about. And I found the note. I found it again. I was like, "What?" And I was reading it. It was like another person had written it. And it was
Yeah.
just like for me, the title was just kind of like that. Like you do these things, you forget them, like come back to you. And like, I don't know, like for me, it's like just the way I work. It's just like everything just goes out. And then like, for me, the fun is just kind of coming back and evaluating it and incorporating it back into the main body of my work. And I don't know, it just felt like the process to me so much. And I just really loved
And I was convinced with all my text nagging that it would be called Have You Got a Title Yet? Have you got a title yet?
The show's in 2 weeks. You have a title.
and I was like, "Me too, but I'm not going to."
Right. Yeah, I don't want to tell you. I don't want to give it away.
I'm
but,
still mulling it over.
Plus, you're afraid he might say no.
We might come up with something better in a week, and then we'll be mad.
Wait till it's too late. He has no choice, but you have to go with it. Right? It's just not enough time.
Oh, and I do love the title. Especially when especially when they added the parenthesis at the very last stage.
That's
That really made my day. Because it gave me extra vinyl lettering to put through the exhibit, which works so well.
You love vinyl.
Let me ask you about when you create artwork. Now, obviously, you want to sell it because that's part of how you survive in the world. But is there a sense of remorse when you see a painting walk out the door with its new owner, and perhaps that's it? You're not going to see that work again. It's out of your life. I mean, you have photos of it, I guess, or that's got to be a little bit of a strange feeling, right? It's like
A little bit. I mean, if you are underselling it, then you're like, oh, I get more enjoyment out of looking at it than what I charge the guy to walk away with it.
yeah, right.
But I mean, you still have images of it, and it's just
It's forever with
reason
you.
to make more.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Like part of the reason I like selling things is just get it out of my house. Or,
Right.
but also like it's like it can be really hard, especially like I put a lot of work into my stuff and I get really attached to them, and they mean personally, they mean a lot to me as well. Like the stories are kind of like metaphors for like they're allegorical or whatever for my own life, and like I can get really attached to him. But I also just like one of the characters in the show, Mr. Woodnot. He's like the third or fourth sculpture of Mr. Woodnot I made. Like, so it's fun to like. For me, like someone who's building these characters and revisioning them in different ways, and eventually I want to, what are they like as kids and things like that. Like it's kind of fun to be able to like, oh, I sold them. Oh, that sucks. But like, how would I build them differently now? Like, what now that I learned doing all this process, I would build them completely differently from scratch. And so it's fun to
You can
like
kind of recreate it in
myself.
that way, right?
Yeah, and explore them in a different way and find out different things about myself as I'm doing it. So I really, it's a double-edged sword, of course, but like, I kind of like, there's good things and bad things about it for sure.
I have a friend who's an artist, and I know she'll paint something within a day or so. And wow, that was, but then other things that I don't think are necessarily as good, and I will never tell her this. She's working on it for years and years and years. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what's the longest it ever took you to complete a project? I guess just
oh man, 2 years. A lot of this stuff has been going on for at least 2 years.
Yeah. Well, you're still 2 years into it, and you're like, it's still not where it needs. I want it to
keep
be.
Reworking it and things like that. I've got a really great anecdote about this that I got from another podcast, Malcolm Gladwell podcast. Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen are sitting down at one point, and they're talking about songwriting, and Leonard Cohen's like, "Oh, Bob, I really love this song. How long did it take you to write?" And he's like, "Oh, like 10 or 15 minutes in the studio." And he's like, "Leonard Cohen, I really love Hallelujah. How long did that take you to write?" And he's like, 10 years.
Yeah. right, yeah.
And it's like some artists work very, very fast and some artists work very, very slow. I kind of work in a weird way where I'll work in fast iterations very quickly, and then I come up and revise and revise and revise and revise and revise. So I kind of have this like weird thing where I can do things quickly in 2 weeks, or it can take me 2 years. Like it kind of depends on how much time I have and how sometimes you get that lightning in a bottle and it's like amazing, and other times you're like, oh, this is just killing me. It's a slog and I can't finish it. So it can really go either way for me personally.
Yeah, likewise. I think, and it comes from maybe being an editor and things become nonlinear.
Right.
And you chop it up. You can revisit it, shuffle it around. Yeah. Like I love working fast. I love, creating kind of at a full tilt. Yeah. But then you can leave it. If it's not sold, it's not done. You can still access it. You can still paint it. You can cut it with a saw. I have pieces that are years old, and then you can just pull them out and create something new.
Right. Yeah. But because I've written some books, and in me, it's like I don't know that day is the day I'm finishing the book. Like all of a sudden I'll be like, period. I'll be like, I just finished a book. Right. I guess it's a similar feeling, right? It's like that's it. There's nothing more I can add.
Yeah, the sale for me is the final thing.
Unless
that person wants to allow you to come keep working on it, that's it.
Yeah. They think it's done. Like whatever. Like they're. I wanted to come back to this one because you mentioned something about like it's a conversation, but it feels like sometimes like I'm having a conversation with the piece, and then the piece is having a conversation with the audience, and then I have a conversation with the audience that changes their conversation. So it's just like it's so interesting getting other people's reactions to things, and like really like you said, like sometimes I don't know it's finished until it's sold. Like I'm like, oh, I hang it on the wall and like, oh, I wish I could have changed this, or I wish I could have added that.
Yeah.
And then someone sees it and they're like, it's amazing. It is so cool. I want that hanging in my house. And you're like, oh, like I guess I said what I needed to say. Like it connected with this person enough that like it meant something. And yeah, so it's the kind of thing like maybe I'm never going to be happy with it, but like someone else is very, very happy with it, and so that and I don't know, I just find that fascinating. And
As a guy like me who knows, I know so little about art, I could fill a museum with how little I know about. But when I was at your exhibit, one of the things I'm very self-conscious, even though you probably don't think I am, but I am. And when I'm standing in front of a painting, and I'm looking at it, I'm kind of looking to my left, looking at my right, and I'm wondering, is the artist looking at me, looking at his painting, curious to see what my reaction's going to be, Do you do that? Not just for me, but do you sit there and you're like, okay, let's see what this guy is. He going to look at the painting that took 2 years of my life and, is basically been the bane of my existence? Is he just going to glance at it and then, I mean, do you do that? Is that in your head? Like, I wanted the reactions or is that just me? I'm just a lunatic and you guys are quite normal.
No, not in that sense, but I do feel like the audience brings, valid, interpretations of what the art is. That's to the art. And as the artist, you are welcome to say what you think it is.
Yep.
But that's just one theory, I believe.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
That's really interesting, you talking about your paranoia, because as the curator,
Yes.
when people come in and look at the art, I'm thinking, do they understand how I actually tied all this together? Do they get the narrative that I've put up with these two different bodies of work and making them work?
Yeah.
Because it's not always a given. I mean, it can be, sometimes you think it's a great idea and you get the work and you're like, yikes.
Yeah.
How am I going to make this work? When I do group shows, the Unveiled show was 70 artists and I have to make that work somehow. But this subconsciously, this show was always going to work.
yeah,
I just had kind of a strong idea when I saw the work of where everything was going to go, and it pretty much panned out where. And I just wish we had an extra month to install, because I had some ideas I was saying to Jake and Rob, like, oh, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this.
Yeah.
But there's only so much time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that is one good thing about putting your art out there. You kind of have to say, like Lorne Michaels says, we're not putting the show on because it's ready. We're putting it on because it's 11:30.
Because it's time.
And, Joey Ramone is like, you're only as good as you are. You got to go.
Right.
So when you put it out there, you might have 20 different plans for a single piece of work. Like, this could have gone further, but nobody knows that. And it is great to hear what people are drawn to. And, I've had at least 3 different series in the show, and then some people really connected with one. The father and son came up and were like, "Oh, that Godzilla drawing is amazing." And other people, not on their radar at all. So it's like a little social experiment, not an experiment, but you're getting a lot of information about how your work's being received when you make it public.
It's interesting you mentioned Saturday Night Live and Joey Ramone, because I think if you're a fan of Saturday Night Live, you're a fan of Joey Ramone and the Ramones, I think you'd like your work. I maybe that's because looking at your work, Rob, I felt very personal to it. Like, here's a guy I think I would get along with. You just from the type of work, and I love Saturday Night Live and I love the Ramones. So I don't know. Yeah, that's a very interesting.
And with Jake's too, I feel like there's comedy and punk rock ethos flowing through our work.
Yeah. I found, like, for me, it was like the show like gives it like a milestone, like a deadline for you, and it really drove me to get some things done that I probably wouldn't have gotten around to for another 2 years. And really, like, going back to like looking at the viewer and stuff, what I noticed, like, people were very confused by my work starting out, and then I realized once I created like the diorama, the like set pieces for them, then it was like reactions started immediately changing. Like, there was always people that liked my work, but like giving people context around it and more depth to kind of look at things really kind of pushed people and got people's more interested in it. And at that point, like then I was like, I could stop guessing what people liked and I could just focus on what I wanted to do at that point. Because then I was like, oh, this diorama seems to like be the key to drawing them in and focus on the work and give it its own thing. So
Absolutely.
And that sounded very serious, and it is. But what I love about working with you two is you don't take yourselves too seriously.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
You can be self-deprecating, and actually that comes through because there's whimsy in your work, both of you, which I adore. I mean, I can remember when I bought a piece of yours, Jake, and I bought the alien, and then I turned on the other side, and it had the cat painted on the back, and I'm like, whoa, wow.
I hide things. I do that. I had like this whole series of like taxidermied heads that go on the wall. And then I do paintings on the back of them, and there's literally no way you can display the painting on the back of it. It has to hang on the painting.
Yeah.
So the only way the owner could actually see it is to take it down and look at it. So I love doing that kind of stuff. And just
And then then with Rob, I mean, I just burst out laughing when I put the Pig Latin? Because I'm like, oh my God, Kermit's on there. I mean, and then also I got to say that Rob is the first artist to ever get me officially high in the Herb and Millie Iris Gallery.
All right.
Because he brought in this huge piece that's on the main wall on the second floor, and it was freshly varnished.
I blacked out on the ride over, so I have no recollection.
Like back in school sniffing the test before, right?
Yeah, the mimeograph.
Right, that's right.
It's heady stuff.
It's funny. Well, the show is called Lost and Found in Loss Again with Jake Guttormsson. Am I saying your last name?
Yes.
That is
awesome.
and Rob Weiss.
Yes.
I'm very proud of myself for Jake saying your last name somewhat correctly. I did practice.
Perfect.
I did practice beforehand, and but still I chickened out. That's why I had you do the introductions. But I highly recommend you guys check it out. It's from November 13th, which was last Thursday, to January 18th at SOPAC. It's a great exhibit.
And there will be an artist walk and talk in January.
Yes.
Okay, an artist walk and talk in January. So where could we find out information on that?
Social media?
Sopacnow.org. If you go to the Herb and Millie Iris web page on the website, that will have all the information. I'm sure it'll be posted. I'm sure Rob's wife will be on it as well to let people know, because she is a media queen.
Yes. She knows what she's doing. Yes.
Hi, Allison.
And of course, Jeremy Moss's Facebook page too. Right, for all good things SOMA.
And Instagram, it's Mosspix.
Moss Picks. Picks or Pic.
Mosspix.
Pix. Oh, okay. All right. So that's
my Instagram is Rob Weiss Art.
Okay.
And the website is Robert Weiss Design.
Okay.
So.
My Instagram is at the work of Jake Guttormsson, and that's underscores between all the words. And then also, but actually, I've got a Substack. If you just search me on that, I'm putting stories and pieces up on there mostly right now. So that's actually probably the most up to date, and I put notes on the exhibition and things up there as well.
Well, Rob, Jake, and Jeremy, thank you very much for coming in. Ian, again, he was very apologetic. He would love to have been here, but there was a small room, and there's four of us, so, four is company, five's a crowd. So, all right, so until we do it again, ladies and gentlemen, the Lee and Ian Show says good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Bye.